Many people know Thomas Edison as one of history's greatest inventors, responsible for making everyday things like light bulbs and phonographs. He changed the world with his brilliant ideas and tireless work. But did you know that his journey began with a rather surprising and disheartening challenge? Thomas Edison was born in 1847 in Milan, Ohio. From a very young age, he was an incredibly curious child, always asking why and how. He wasn't content with simple answers. He wanted to understand the deeper workings of everything around him, from steam engines to natural phenomena. When Thomas was about 7 years old, he started school, which was a common step for children at that time. Schools back then were quite different from today's schools. Teachers often used strict methods and focused heavily on memorization, with little room for individual exploration or questioning. Thomas, with his active and questioning mind, often found it hard to fit into this strict learning environment. He didn't learn in the same way as other children. He would ask many questions and sometimes struggled to focus on the routine tasks, preferring to explore his own thoughts. One day, a pivotal moment occurred. Thomas came home from school with a note from his teacher. He handed it to his mother, Nancy Edison, who was a former school teacher herself. As she read the note, Thomas watched her face. Her expression changed from calm to a mix of disbelief and resolve. The content of that note was incredibly harsh. Thomas's teacher had written that he was addled, an old-fashioned word meaning confused or mentally slow, and that he was too stupid to learn. The teacher suggested that Thomas should be removed from school because he wasn't capable of benefiting from their education. Imagine how a young child might feel hearing such terrible words from an adult in authority. But Thomas's mother, Nancy, reacted in a way that would change his life forever. She refused to accept the teacher's judgment. She knew her son was bright and unique, not stupid. With fire in her eyes, Nancy Edison declared that her son was not stupid and that she would teach him herself. She believed deeply in Thomas's potential and recognized that the traditional school system simply wasn't the right fit for his extraordinary mind. From that day forward, Nancy Edison became Thomas's primary teacher. As a former teacher, she knew how to guide him, but more importantly, she knew how to nurture his natural curiosity. She created a learning environment that was filled with encouragement and respect for his unique way of thinking. Instead of rigid memorization, Nancy encouraged Thomas to read widely, especially books on science and history. She answered his endless questions with patience and encouraged him to experiment and discover things for himself. This was a completely different approach to education. This personalized education allowed Thomas to thrive. He absorbed knowledge like a sponge, devouring books from his father's library and later the local public library. His mother's belief and teaching style fueled his love for learning and discovery. Thomas quickly began conducting his own experiments at home. He would gather wires, bottles, and chemicals, transforming his basement into a makeshift laboratory. He was driven by a powerful desire to understand how things worked and to invent new things. He didn't always succeed right away. In fact, many of his early experiments failed. But instead of getting discouraged, he learned from every failure. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This resilience was a direct result of the freedom and encouragement he received at home. The boy who was once called too stupid to learn by his teacher went on to become one of the most prolific inventors in history. He patented over 1,093 inventions and founded major companies that are still around today. His inventions literally lit up the world and transformed daily life. This story teaches us an important lesson. A single negative label does not define a person's potential. Thomas Edison's journey shows us that success often comes from believing in oneself and having someone else believe in you, especially when others doubt. His mother's unwavering support was crucial. Nancy Edison didn't just teach him facts, she taught him how to think, how to question, and how to persevere. She shielded him from harmful criticism and gave him the confidence to follow his own path of discovery. Edison's story also highlights that people learn in different ways. What might be a good learning environment for one person isn't necessarily right for another. Creativity and innovation often flourish when individuals are allowed to explore their interests freely. So, the next time you hear about Thomas Edison, remember not just his inventions, but also the powerful story of a mother's belief that defied a teacher's harsh judgment. It's a timeless reminder of the importance of encouragement and how it can unlock incredible potential in anyone. Thomas Edison's legacy is not just about the technologies he created, but also about the spirit of innovation and resilience he embodied. His life story continues to inspire millions, proving that even the most discouraging words can be overcome by determination and the right kind of support.